Emma Turner had stopped believing in surprises. Life had turned into a loop of work, coffee, and quiet nights with her cat. Milo, Seattle's skyline outside her window, always looked beautiful. But lately, even that couldn't shake her loneliness. Her best friend, Lily Harper, was the opposite. Bright, confident, and always convinced she knew what Emma needed. And today, what Emma needed, according to Lily, was a date. "You've been single for 2 years. Lily said one Friday morning, holding her latte like she was making a point. "You need someone who reminds you that there's more to life than deadlines and design projects." Emma rolled her eyes. "And I suppose you already have someone in mind." Lily's grin said it all. "I do. Trust me, he's not like the others. He's real, kind, and actually listens when people talk." Emma groaned. "Lily, your setups are disasters. Remember the guy who brought his ex's dog to our date? That was one time." Lily laughed. "This one's different. His name is Noah Bennett. He's a software engineer. Quiet, but funny once you get to know him. You'll like him." Emma sighed, glancing at her reflection in the cafe window. She wasn't sure what she was looking for anymore. Her last relationship had ended quietly, without shouting or betrayal, just two people growing in different directions. Since then, she had learned to live comfortably alone. But part of her still wanted someone who made her feel understood. Maybe Lily was right. Maybe it was time to try again. That Friday evening. Emma stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her navy blue dress for the 5th time. It's just a date, she told herself, but her heart disagreed. Her palms were sweaty, her pulse quick. She wasn't nervous about Noah, she was nervous about hoping again. The rooftop bar Lily had picked was warm and softly lit, with strings of lights glowing against the fading sunset. The city buzzed below, but up here it felt calm. Emma found a table near the edge and tried not to look at her phone every 2 minutes. Then a voice behind her said, "Emma." She turned and saw him. Noah Bennett wasn't flashy. He didn't have the overconfident smile she'd come to expect from dating apps. He had kind eyes, the color of hazelnut coffee, and a quiet way of standing that made her feel at ease instantly. "Hi," she said, standing to greet him. "I guess Lily did her matchmaking thing again." He chuckled softly. "She did. She told me you might cancel at the last minute." Emma laughed, feeling a hint of embarrassment. "I almost did." "Well, I'm glad you didn't," Noah said simply. The conversation started slow, both of them cautious, feeling their way through the usual questions: work, hobbies, favorite movies. Emma learned that Noah had moved to Seattle 2 years ago from Portland, that he loved hiking and played guitar in his free time. In return, he asked about her design projects, and unlike most people, he actually listened. He asked thoughtful questions, not just polite ones. As the sun disappeared behind the skyline, the city lights came alive. Their waiter brought another round of drinks, and their laughter started to sound more natural. Emma noticed how easy it felt. No pressure, no pretending. She hadn't laughed like this in months. Then came a small silence. Noah looked down, fidgeting with his glass. "Can I be honest?" he asked. Emma tilted her head. "Sure, I wasn't sure about this either," he admitted. "I told Lily I don't do setups anymore." But she was persistent. Emma smiled. "That sounds like her." He nodded, then looked at her with a calm sincerity that caught her off guard. "But now I'm glad she didn't listen." Something in Emma's chest stirred, a quiet, unexpected warmth. She brushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear and tried to look away before he noticed. For a moment, they just sat there watching the lights flicker across the water. Seattle had never looked so peaceful. When the waiter brought the check, Noah reached for it without hesitation. Emma protested, but he smiled. "Next time you can get it." She blinked. "Next time. Only if you want to," he added quickly, his voice soft. Emma hesitated, then nodded. "I think I do." They walked out together, the cool night air brushing against their shoulders. Down on the street, the traffic hummed like distant music. When they reached her car, Noah paused. "This was nice," he said. It was Emma agreed, smiling. "You're not what I expected." He grinned slightly. "That's good, I hope." "Yeah," she said, looking at him, really looking. It is, for a second, it felt like time slowed. His gaze lingered just long enough for her to feel something unfamiliar. Anticipation. But instead of leaning in or making things awkward, he simply said, "Good night, Emma. Good night, Noah." She watched him walk away until he disappeared around the corner, his hands tucked in his pockets. She didn't realize she was still smiling until she saw her reflection in the car window later that night. When Lily called to ask how it went, Emma tried to sound casual. "It was fine." Lily laughed immediately. "You're lying. I can tell." Emma admitted, sinking into her couch. "It was really nice. He's easy to talk to." Lily's voice softened. "I told you. Sometimes you just need to meet someone who reminds you what good feels like." After the call ended, Emma sat in the quiet of her apartment, thinking about Noah's calm voice, his thoughtful questions, and the way he made her feel seen. It wasn't love. Not yet. But it was something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope she didn't know that on the other side of the city. Noah was sitting on his couch too, scrolling through his phone before setting it down with a sigh. He looked out at the city lights and smiled to himself, whispering, "Thanks, Lily." But there was something in his eyes, a hesitation, a flicker of guilt, as if there was something he hadn't said. Something about Lily that lingered like an unfinished sentence. And while Emma drifted off to sleep that night, her heart quietly opening again. She had no idea that the simple date Lily arranged was only the beginning of something far more complicated and far more real than either of them had planned. Because sometimes love doesn't knock politely. It arrives through the people you already trust in ways you never expect. And once it begins, it changes everything. The days after Emma's first date with Noah passed in a blur of excitement and confusion. He texted her every morning, small, simple messages like, "Hope your meeting goes well," or "Don't skip breakfast today." It wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it. It felt real, unforced. Emma found herself smiling at her phone more than she wanted to admit. Their second date came quickly. A cozy bookstore cafe. The kind that smelled like coffee and old paper. Noah showed up early, sitting by the window with 2 cups ready, one with extra cream, just the way she liked it. They spent hours talking about music, favorite places, and childhood dreams. It all felt easy, like they'd known each other longer than a few weeks. But sometimes Emma caught a flicker in his eyes, a quiet distance, a thought he didn't share. When she asked about his past, he would smile lightly and change the subject. At first, she didn't mind. Everyone had things they weren't ready to talk about. Still, something about the way he avoided it made her curious. After one of their late-night walks by the water, Emma told Lily about it. They were sitting in Emma's living room, sipping tea like they always did after long days. "He's amazing, Lily. Kind, patient, funny. But sometimes it feels like there's something he's not telling me." Lily smiled faintly. "Maybe he's just taking things slow. You said you wanted someone real, right?" "I do," Emma said quietly. "It just feels like he's holding something back." Lily didn't answer right away. She looked thoughtful, her fingers tapping against her mug. "Give him time," she said finally. "People open up when they're ready." Emma nodded, not realizing that Lily's calm tone hid a secret of her own. 2 weeks later, Emma invited Noah to her apartment for dinner. Nothing fancy, just pasta and wine, laughter over spilled sauce, and music playing softly in the background. He looked completely at ease, helping her set the table, joking about how terrible he was at cooking. It felt comfortable, almost too perfect. After dinner, they sat by the window, watching the rain streak down the glass. Emma leaned her head against the sofa, her voice low. "You're easy to be around. You know that." Noah smiled. "I could say the same about you." For a moment, the silence between them felt full of something unspoken, a closeness that neither of them wanted to rush. But later that night, after he left, Emma felt a strange unease. It wasn't about him. It was something in her gut, to whisper she couldn't name. That feeling grew stronger the next weekend when she visited Lily. They decided to look through old photos from their college days, boxes of memories. laughter, and terrible haircuts as Emma flipped through one of the albums. She froze. Her breath caught in her throat. There, on a faded page, was Lily smiling brightly with her arm around a familiar face. Noah. Emma's fingers trembled as she traced the photo. It wasn't just a random picture. They looked close, comfortable in a way that didn't happen overnight. Lily, noticing Emma's sudden stillness, looked up. Emma turned the album toward her. This, you and Noah. Lily's expression changed in an instant. Her smile disappeared. She swallowed hard before answering. That was years ago. Emma felt her chest tighten. You dated him. For a few months, Lily said softly. It was before he moved to Portland. We were young. It didn't work out. Emma's voice shook. You didn't think to tell me before setting me up with him? Lily looked down, guilt written all over her face. I didn't think it mattered anymore. We ended on good terms, and I honestly didn't expect you to click like that. Emma stood, pacing the room, trying to process what she'd just learned. Lily, you're my best friend. How could you not tell me something like this? I know I should have, Lily said quickly, but I didn't want to scare you off before giving it a chance. You've been alone for so long, Em. I just wanted to see you happy. Emma ran a hand through her hair, trying to calm the storm inside her. This isn't about being happy. It's about honesty. Lily looked heartbroken. You're right. I'm sorry. Emma left soon after, too upset to stay. The city lights blurred as she drove home, her thoughts spinning. How could Noah not mention this? He must have known Lily would tell her eventually. Or maybe he thought she never would. She lay awake that night, replaying every moment with him. Every smile, every pause, every look that now felt different. The warmth between them still felt real. But the foundation beneath it suddenly seemed fragile. The next day, Emma didn't reply to Noah's usual good morning text. She didn't know what to say. When he called that evening, she let it ring until it stopped. Then another message appeared. Did I do something wrong? Emma finally answered, We need to talk. They met at a quiet cafe downtown, the same one where they'd shared their second date. The air between them was different now, tense, careful. Noah looked worried. You found out. Emma nodded, her voice calm but firm. You and Lily? Why didn't you tell me? He sighed, leaning back in his chair. Because it was over a long time ago. It wasn't serious, and I didn't want to make things awkward. When Lily suggested we meet, I hesitated, but then I met you, and I didn't want the past to ruin something good. Emma looked at him, trying to read his face. You should have told me anyway. Okay, no, he said softly, and I'm sorry. But I promise what I feel for you has nothing to do with the past. She wanted to believe him. Every word sounded honest. But trust was fragile once it cracked. Emma stood to leave, her heart heavy. I just need some time. He nodded slowly, understanding. Take all the time you need. Outside, the sky was gray, rain starting to fall again, soft, steady, relentless. She walked through the wet streets, the sound of her footsteps echoing against the pavement. Inside her chest, emotions tangled, anger, sadness, and something else she couldn't ignore. Despite everything, she still cared about him. But caring wasn't simple anymore. When she got home, she stared out at the city lights again, remembering how hopeful she'd felt after that first date. She wished things could go back to that moment, before the truth, before the questions. But life didn't rewind. It only moved forward. As the rain kept falling, she whispered to herself, why does something good always have to come with a secret? And somewhere across the city, Noah sat alone, staring at his phone, replaying her voice in his mind, wishing he had told her the truth from the start. Because now, the one person who made him feel alive again was slipping away, not because of what they had, but because of what he'd kept hidden, and both of them knew that the next step would decide everything. Days turned into a quiet blur after that uncomfortable cafe meeting. Emma tried to focus on work, but nothing helped. Every time her phone buzzed, her heart jumped, hoping it was Noah. Sometimes it was. His messages were gentle, I miss talking to you, or I'm here whenever you're ready." But she didn't reply. She didn't know how. She felt trapped between two people she cared about, her best friend and the man she was falling for, Lily. On the other hand, kept her distance. For the first time in years, their friendship felt strained. The laughter and late-night talks were gone. Emma couldn't stop replaying that photo in her mind. Lily's arm around Noah, the way they looked together. It shouldn't have mattered if they dated years ago, but it did. It changed everything. One evening after another long day, Emma finally decided to clear her head. She went for a walk along the waterfront where the city lights shimmered across the waves. The air was cold, the sound of seagulls faint in the distance. She didn't expect to see him there, but she did. Noah stood by the railing, hands in his pockets, staring at the water like it held the answers he couldn't find. When he turned and saw her, he froze. "Emma," he said quietly. She almost turned back, but something stopped her. Maybe it was the sadness in his eyes. Maybe it was because she still cared. They stood in silence for a moment before Noah spoke again. "I didn't plan to run into you here." Emma crossed her arms. "Maybe it's better we talk." He nodded, his expression serious. "I don't want you to think I lied to you. I didn't hide Lily to deceive you. I just didn't think it was important anymore. It ended long before you and I met." "I know," she said, her voice softer than she expected. "But you both should have told me. Finding out like that did hurt. It made me feel like the only one who didn't know the rules." He looked down, guilt in his voice. "You're right. I should have told you. I was afraid you'd walk away before giving us a chance." Emma sighed. "And now I'm walking away anyway." Noah looked up, his gaze full of quiet desperation. "I don't want that." There was honesty in his tone, the kind that reached her heart no matter how much she tried to fight it. He stepped closer but didn't touch her. "Emma, I've dated people before, but what I feel for you, it's different. I care about you more than I can explain." Her eyes softened. "Then why does it feel like everything about us is wrong?" He didn't answer right away. "Because we both care too much about someone else's feelings." That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She kept replaying their conversation, his voice echoing in her mind. He was right. They weren't the only ones in this story. Lily mattered to her friendship, her trust. Emma couldn't hurt her, not after everything they'd shared over the years. The next morning, Emma decided to see Lily. She walked into her friend's apartment unannounced, just like old times. Lily looked surprised but relieved. "Hey," she said softly. Emma took a deep breath. "We need to talk." Lily nodded. "Yeah, I've been waiting for you to come." They sat on the couch, the silence thick at first. Emma spoke carefully. "I saw Noah last night." Lily's face tightened slightly, but she didn't interrupt. "He told me everything." Emma continued. "And I believe him. I know your past with him is over, but this. It's complicated, Lily. I don't know how to move forward without feeling like I'm betraying you." Lily looked down at her hands. "I understand. When I introduced you two, I didn't expect any of this. I thought it would just be a simple date, maybe help you smile again. I didn't think you'd actually fall for him." Emma gave a small, sad laugh. "Neither did I." For a moment, they both just sat there, the weight of their friendship pressing between them. Then Lily reached out and took Emma's hand. "Em, listen. I'm not angry. I was at first maybe jealous for a second, but I realized something. You and Noah. You fit. I see it when you talk about him. You look happy again, and that matters more to me than the past." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "You mean that?" "I do," Lily said firmly. "But you need to be sure. Don't hold back just because of me. If it's real, you'll regret walking away." Emma squeezed her hand, gratitude and guilt mixing together. "Thank you. I just didn't want to lose you." Lily smiled gently. "You won't. Just promise me one thing whatever happens, keep your heart honest." That night, Emma sat by her window again, the same spot where she'd once dreamed about finding love. Only now the dream felt closer but scarier. She thought about Noah's smile, his kindness, the way he listened. And she thought about Lily's words that love was worth fighting for, even if it came with complications. The next day, she decided to meet Noah one more time. She texted him, "Can we talk?" His reply came within seconds. Name the place. They met at this same waterfront spot where they'd talked before. The air was colder now, the wind sharper, but her heart felt strangely steady. When Noah arrived, he looked nervous. "I didn't think I'd hear from you again. I wasn't sure you would," Emma said. "But I talked to Lily." His eyebrows lifted slightly. "And?" "She told me to follow my heart." Noah's breath caught. "And what does your heart say?" Emma looked at him, really looked. He wasn't perfect, but he was genuine. He made her laugh, made her feel like she mattered. "It says I want to try again," she said softly. "But only if we do it right this time. No secrets, no shadows." A quiet relief spread across his face. "You have my word." They stood there for a moment, both unsure what to say next. Then Noah smiled, the kind of smile that made everything else fade away. "You know, Lily was right about something," he said. "You really are worth waiting for." Emma laughed through her tears. She usually is. When he reached for her hand, she didn't pull away this time. The touch felt warm, steady, like the beginning of something real. For the first time in weeks, she felt peace. Not everything was perfect. There would still be awkward moments, careful steps, and healing to do. But maybe love wasn't about avoiding complications. Maybe it was about facing them with honesty and hope. Later that evening, Emma called Lily again. Her voice was calm. "We talked. We're going to take things slow." Lily smiled through the phone. "That's all that matters. Just be happy, Em." As Emma hung up, she looked out over the city, lights glowing across the skyline. The pain, the confusion, the fear, it had all led her here. To a love she hadn't expected and a friendship that was strong enough to survive the truth. She realized then that love didn't always arrive perfectly wrapped. Sometimes it showed up through the people who already knew you best. Sometimes it came with history, mistakes, and second chances. And for the first time, she wasn't afraid of where it might lead. A month passed since Emma and Noah decided to give their relationship another chance. The air between them felt new, lighter, honest, and a little fragile. They both knew trust wasn't something that came back overnight. It had to be rebuilt slowly, one truth at a time. But they were trying. And sometimes trying was enough. They began meeting in simple ways: coffee after work, evening walks, and movie nights that often ended with laughter over burnt popcorn. It wasn't dramatic or intense. It was calm, real, and exactly what Emma needed. Noah made her feel safe again. He didn't rush her or demand more than she could give. He was patient, quietly steady. Like the tide that always found its way back to shore, one evening, they met at the same waterfront where so many of their moments had happened. The city lights reflected in the water, and the air smelled faintly of rain. Emma wrapped her scarf tighter and smiled when she saw him waiting near their usual spot. "You're early," she said, walking up beside him. He grinned. "I didn't want to miss you." They stood side by side, watching the waves roll in. The silence between them wasn't heavy anymore. It was comfortable, filled with unspoken understanding. "I talked to Lily today," Emma said after a moment. Noah's shoulders stiffened slightly, but she smiled. "Don't worry. It was a good talk." He turned to her. "You two are okay." "Yeah," she said softly. "We're getting there. It's not perfect, but she wants us to be happy. She even told me you still owe her for playing Cupid." Noah chuckled. "I'll buy her a coffee or maybe a lifetime supply." Emma laughed quietly, the sound warm against the night air. For the first time in a long while, everything felt balanced again. Her heart, her friendship, her hope. But deep down, a question still lingered. Could they really move past everything? Could love truly grow in the shadow of an old one? That doubt returned a week later when Emma and Noah went to a friend's dinner party. It was casual, a mix of laughter, music, and stories. But halfway through the evening, someone mentioned Lily's name. Emma saw Noah pause for just a second, barely noticeable, but enough for her to feel it. She didn't say anything at first. But on the drive home, the silence between them felt heavier than usual. When he pulled up outside her apartment, she finally spoke. "Do you ever think about her?" He looked surprised. "Lily?" "Yeah." Her voice was calm, but her heart wasn't. "Be honest." Noah sighed, resting his hands on the steering wheel. "I think about how things used to be, sure. But not because I miss her. Because that part of my life taught me what not to do, how to be better. I don't love her, Emma. I love you." His voice was steady, his words simple but true. Still, she looked out the window, unsure of what to say. He reached over, gently touching her hand. "You can doubt everything else, but don't doubt that." She met his eyes then, those warm, calm eyes that had drawn her in from the start. "Okay," she whispered. That night, lying in bed, Emma realized something. Trust wasn't about forgetting the past. It was about choosing to believe someone even when you were scared. And she wanted to believe him. Over the next few weeks, their connection deepened. They spent weekends exploring small bookstores, cooking together, and taking long drives to nowhere. Emma found herself laughing more, worrying less. She felt like herself again, not the guarded woman she used to be, but someone open to love. One Saturday morning, Noah surprised her with a drive out of the city. "Where are we going?" she asked, eyes wide. "You'll see," he said, smiling. After an hour, they stopped at a small park overlooking the water. The air smelled of pine and salt. It was quiet, only the sound of waves and distant gulls. Noah led her to a wooden bench, their fingers brushing as they walked. "I wanted to bring you here," he said, sitting beside her. "It's where I used to come when I first moved to Seattle." Whenever life felt too heavy, Emma looked around. "It's peaceful." He nodded, staring out at the horizon. "Back then, I didn't know what I was looking for. I was just lost. And then Lily set us up, and suddenly everything made sense again." She smiled faintly. "You mean she fixed your life with one text message?" He laughed. "Something like that. But really, she just gave me a chance to meet the person who changed everything." Emma's chest tightened with emotion. He wasn't saying it like a line from a movie. He meant it. And that truth felt bigger than anything else. They sat there in silence for a while, hands entwined. The sun began to set, painting the sky in soft orange and gold. Emma leaned her head on his shoulder, her heart full but calm. "I think this is what love's supposed to feel like," she whispered. Noah smiled. "Quiet? Safe," she said softly. "And real?" A few days later, they met Lily for coffee. Emma was nervous at first, but Lily's warm smile eased her instantly. Noah looked just as unsure, scratching the back of his neck like a teenager meeting a parent. Lily laughed. "Relax, you too. I'm not here to haunt you." They all laughed then, genuinely, without awkwardness. For the first time, it felt like the past had finally loosened its grip. Lily even teased Noah about his old habits, and Emma found herself joining in. When they left, Emma hugged her friend tightly. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" Lily asked. "For being brave enough to let me have this." Lily smiled. "You'd do the same for me." That night, walking home with Noah, Emma realized that everything had come full circle. What started as a simple setup had become something deeper. A story about trust, forgiveness, and unexpected love. At her apartment door, Noah stopped and turned to her. "Do you ever think about how weird this all is? How a setup from your best friend led us here?" Emma smiled, eyes shining. "Weird, yes, but also kind of perfect." He leaned closer, his voice soft. "Then I guess I should thank her again." "You really should," Emma teased. "She's the reason you got stuck with me." "Best kind of stuck there is," he said. And they both laughed. When she went inside later, she stood by her window, looking out at the same city lights that once made her feel lonely. Tonight, they looked different, brighter somehow. Love hadn't come the way she imagined it. It came through mistakes, through people who cared enough to try again. Yes. Through the courage to trust even after disappointment. And that, she realized, was what made it beautiful. As she turned off the light, she whispered to herself, "Sometimes, your best friend doesn't just set you up with someone, they set you up for something real." And somewhere across the city, Noah smiled at his phone, typing one last message before bed. "Good night. Emma, I'll see you tomorrow." Her reply came seconds later. "Can't wait." Outside, the wind carried the faint sound of rain against the glass. Soft and familiar, a gentle reminder that some stories don't end with fireworks or grand gestures. They end with quiet promises, shared smiles, and the kind of love that grows stronger with time. And this time, Emma knew she wasn't just lucky to have found love. She was lucky that it had found her right when she was ready to believe again.